Hi, welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. My name is Scott. This is Sam.
Hello.
We're going to talk about knives and blades for the garden today. Alright, well, general utility knives in the garden, you can use anything from a pocket knife to, my father used to use a cheap fixed blade knife, but I'm a knife geek, a little bit of a knife geek. I like to keep my garden knives separate from my daily pocket knives, my daily carry pocket knives, because these things get dirty, they get rusty, they get gritty. I have separate blades for the garden. I also believe in quality, and quality doesn't always have to mean expensive. In fact, some of these knives that I've got are pretty cheap. So here's a couple of the knives that I use in the garden, beginning with this one. This is called the Svord Peasant knife. It's made in New Zealand. It is a cheap folding knife, and it's so simple. It's just one blade, a couple of hinges, and some plastic scales. These Svord Peasant knives come in real handy because they're made of plastic. They're not that expensive, and if you leave them out in the rain, the plastic scales aren't going to swell up and crack and split like wood knives might. So they're really handy for cutting twine and opening bags of mulch and cutting stubborn roots. Just a really handy knife to have around. And since they fold, you can carry them around in your pocket and not worry too much about them. You don't have to hang it off your belt like a fixed blade. So I have several of these in different colors. They come in all different colors. I have an orange one that I probably use the most. The thing about these is the blades are carbon steel. Carbon steel means that you can put a razor edge on there. If you know anything about honing or sharpening a knife, you can put some really nice edges on these Svord knives. Now, when I bought these were $15 each. Now they are actually more around $30 each. So it's really maybe not that big of a deal. Or not that good of a deal anymore, but I still appreciate these knives for their simplicity. If you're the kind of person that wants the best tools, this carbon steel sharpens up real well, and it's worth having. Now you might notice that they're not real finished or polished, and that's because it's carbon steel. As you use carbon steel, it gets a patina on it that is desirable if you're a knife guy like me. And I don't mean, you're buying expensive collectible knives that you really don't use that much. I'm talking about like good quality knives that get real world use. They get a patina on them, they darken, and well, that's carbon steel for you. So that's it, the Svord knife, the Svord Peasant knife from New Zealand, a very good quality general purpose utility knife. The next knife I use in the garden is this little Opinel. It's a French knife, Opinel number 7. And this is a French little folding knife. It actually has a cam here that holds it closed, and I can open that up and I can lock the blade in place like that. Opinel. Now this is a knife that I only use for harvesting. I use it for preparing food for the kitchen. I use it for slicing like my Swiss chard. I don't like to use clippers. This just gives a nice razor sharp slice through there. I've seen people use these for cutting Brussels sprouts off the stalk. It's a very kind of a quaint old-fashioned knife, nice wood handle there, and it's from France. Opinel knives come in many sizes. This is a number 7. It's got a 3-inch blade and about a 4.5-inch long wooden handle. It's a beech handle. Now the best thing about these knives is they're 14 bucks, and that's cheap for a high quality knife. This is high quality steel. It's an excellent garden knife. It makes an excellent pocket knife if you just need a cheap pocket knife. The design is old worldly, but it works. Opinel number 7. Take a look at that. This is Samuel's knife. Tell us about your knife.
It's a very cool pocket knife, in my opinion. It's got multiple things in it. The blade, of course.
Yeah.
Let me close it up before I open up another one.
It's got a main blade.
It's
got a awl that's for poking holes in leather.
Yep, this is the one that's toughest to close.
Yeah.
There we go. More tough to close.
What else has it got? It's got a can opener.
Yep.
And that other one is a bottle opener and a screwdriver, huh?
I don't have a screwdriver.
Yeah, I'll show you what you have there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We've got a flathead screwdriver. Samuel's knife is a Kissing Crane brand. It's a scout pattern knife or a camp knife. And the Kissing Crane used to be made in Solingen, Germany, but now they make them in China. But they're still better quality knives than the other camp knives and scout knives that are out there. You find them commonly sold by Coleman or under name brands like Remington, you know, the various outdoor brands. And they're just not that great. The classic camp knife is the Camp King, spelled with K, K-A-M-P. It's a black knife with the silver ends. And while it's an okay classic, it's not that well made. These Kissing Crane knives have genuine bone. Those scales are genuinely carved bone. This is the olive color. They also have it in yellow. And we like it. We've enjoyed it. Samuel's enjoyed his knife. That's his first pocket knife. So, yep. You like that?
Yeah.
Awesome. The other bladed tool I use in the garden is this right here. This is a metal detectorist's recovery tool. I used to be into metal detecting. But this knife is indestructible. It is hardened tempered steel. It has a blade and a point. And the thing is, it does not bend. You could lift a car up with this. I've used this to dig concrete rocks out. I mean, you can leverage anything out of the soil with the blade. You can cut through pretty hefty roots. It's good for getting paving stones and edging stones that are really stuck down in the clay, getting them out. This is a handy knife. I've even done home demolition with this knife. Used a hammer to drive it through walls and cut through sheetrock, and man, this is a great tool. So you can't find this tool actually, this exact pattern today, but you can find improvements upon this tool under the name Predator Tools. They sell one called a Raptor, and there's the Lesche digging tool, which is a classic metal detectorist tool of equal goodness to this. Expect to pay between $30 and $50, but it lasts a lifetime, and this is a 20-year-old tool, and I'm still using it. Now here's another tool. If you need to prune fig trees like I do, or if you have fruit trees and you want to cut the suckers down, or you have anything that's, you know, too big for your clippers. If it's too big for your clippers, you need one of these hand saws. This is a Wicked high carbon steel. It's called Wicked Sharp, and this thing will take down. This thing will cut through everything fast. I really like this. It's handy. It's got a nice grip to it. It locks open. You can close it by pushing this button and folding it up. It is extremely sharp, and I've used this to get in. You know, you might ask, why do I need that if I could just have a tree saw? Well, when you're trimming a fig tree, you're getting down in between lots of limbs that are close together, and there's no room for a big saw. This lets you get in there and trim in tight spaces. I find this to be very helpful. You got a mosquito bite right there.
Yep. I felt that one.
You've seen these before. I also use these Fiskars tools in the garden. I use this pruner. It's a great little pruner, probably the best one I've had. Fiskars, I've said before, is from Finland, and Fiskars makes good blades. This is the most useful tool in the early season. It's useful for thinning. I mean, this is an awesome tool. It's useful for thinning, for pruning, and if you can get in there in between seedlings and snip the little ones out, this is the tool to do it with.
You've seen us prune some stuff with that
We've
one.
pruned a lot of stuff with this one. I've poked myself with this one too, so be careful. Well, there's a look at some of the blades we use in the garden. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. Please like our videos and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.